Hey guys, so I try to stay away from the political stuff and all that neat stuff and try to keep it upbeat. Um, as you know, I collect comic books and stuff like that. This is going to be a rant, and I'm sure that YouTube might even kick it out and do whatever they do with it. But kind of bothered me. What's going on is this. Um, I went to Barnes and Noble and I picked up War Games Illustrated, the March, and I missed the April. So with that, you get some pretty cool um, figs. You get one. You can either get the Hussars or the Lifeguards with the March issue, which is pretty neat. So you get one sprue, one of the cavalry guys come off. One of the Perry miniatures, this one is the Napoleonic French Hussars. And you could either get the Hussars or you could get the Lancers. I've got tons of Lancers, so I wanted to get the Hussars sprue. So I picked up that. And in the April, you get, this one is the Natal Native Contingent, which I thought was pretty neat. So you get that sprue there. And that comes with this, the April. Now, what got me was this. There's an article in here written by Peter Brown. And he says, in this month's column, regular contributor, rules author, and club gamer Peter Brown muses on the thorny subject of taking the offensive. Basically, I'll just read you some excerpts from this. It says, we cannot allow a hobby to be bullied into making changes just because of this week's popular cause or some fringe group's inflated outrage. And basically what it is the hobby is feeling the pressure. Recently, some manufacturers have come under pressure through social media to withdraw or amend certain miniature ranges that were seen as offensive. And our first instinct would be to laugh these off as individuals who do not understand the hobby, or to tell such complainants to take a running jump. Unfortunately, social media this day and age has the capacity to drum up some very bad press very quickly, which can impact disproportionately on small businesses. They rely on the internet to make sales. In addition, there have been cases of employees being targeted on their personal social media pages, forcing the business owners to take action to protect their staff. I have witnessed this in the comic book industry. I have witnessed this in Hollywood. Ever since Trump got elected, I don't know whether these people have lost their minds or it came to the forefront because Trump did get elected. It actually, kind of like a wellspring, came up out of nowhere from, and I don't want to say liberals, they're on the left. Me, myself, I believe in equal rights for everybody. I don't care if you're black, green, purple, man or a woman. I think everybody deserves basic human rights, human dignity. That's what I believe in. I always have. I've always been a staunch supporter of women in the workforce. I've got, two biological daughters, and I raised two more daughters that live with us. So I've got my grandkids, boys and girls. I believe in two genders, male and female. Hey, all the transgender stuff, that's all fine. And if that's what you want to be, that's what you want to be. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to judge you. But don't judge me. Don't use the same criteria and then be a hypocrite and then say, oh, well, you got this, you got that. So what I'm getting at is this, is I wrote a letter I wrote a letter to War Games Illustrated. I haven't written to a magazine in years, but this is what I wrote. I wrote, I said, wow, having read this article, I have plenty to say on my mind. I'm 57 years old, served in the U.S. Marines, worked at fast foods, factories, trucking companies, even drove a cab for a while. That's when you needed a hack license and you carried a circular badge. In 1990, I became a cop, retired after 25 years, moved on to retirement, hated it, found a job as a regional manager for a security company, armed and unarmed, supervising 1,300 employees. I went back to being a cop at a college, which pays very well, and I have fun just being in charge of me. Well, during these years, I just forced you to read through. I collected comic books, coins, stamps, toy soldiers. I played Dungeons & Dragons as a player and then as a dungeon master. I played miniature war games, Napoleonics, World War II, Games Workshop, fantasy and sci-fi hammers, all editions, from the first to what they have now. Strategy simulations both on the PC and the board games. Risk and Stratego and all that kind of neat stuff. Panzer Leader. I have attended Gen Cons, Comic Cons, coin shows, military expos, and all kinds of nifty things that we love about our hobby. So what does all this mean? Since the age of political correctness, I have watched the comic book industry turn to crap. Economically, local comic book stores are folding, and why? Because the comic book companies are now catering to PC culture, and it is having the effect of imploding on itself. The artists and writers are a PC social justice group of people who believe that singing Kumbaya is going to bring the world together. Maybe we can teach the world to sing and buy them a Coke as well. I have watched one of my favorite hobbies turn to shit because of political correctness and the fear of offending a minority group who turns to the internet and social media to dox and destroy people. What I have learned and what I am witnessing is this small group of people who have no interest in purchasing comic books at all, and sales records have proven this dramatically. The only support the comic book industry has are the serious comic book collectors, young, old, black, white, brown, you name them, boys, girls, men, women of all colors and ages. The fans I have had the pleasure of interacting with are slowly turning away from the hobby because of lousy artwork, lousy stories, and just plain crap. Well, here I am sitting in my study reading War Games Illustrated April issue for 2019, and wham, here we go again. The PC culture is now aiming for this hobby as well. My thoughts and my warning are these. Tell these pukes to F off. Do not give them an inch into the hobby, because if they do get inside, I can guarantee it will be the death knell of the hobby. Sales will drop, miniatures will become stale and unattractive, and companies will close due to lack of sales. Trust me, I am watching this happen to the comic book industry right now. I seriously do not know what else to do to end this PC stranglehold on our lives. I do know that it is time to stand up and just say stop, and each of us in this hobby needs to support the manufacturers who struggle hard to provide us with cool material. Sincerely, Bob Gagney. Oh, guys, unbelievable. It basically pissed me off enough to send that email to War Games Illustrated. And hopefully War Games Illustrated will get more people sending them emails like that. History is history, and I think what we see happening is a leftist movement to destroy history for globalization and the elimination of nationalists. And there's nothing wrong with being I'm a nationalist. I believe in the United States. And I think that all countries should be proud of where they come from. Western culture is under attack. Part of Western culture, it's us. We did a lot of great things. Yeah, listen. There's some bad stuff in our history, but there's bad stuff in everybody's history. You cannot erase that fact. Slavery. We look at slavery in the United States. I mean, slavery began. What are we gonna do? I mean, look at Egypt, right? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm getting angry. I can feel myself getting angry because now I'm going into yeah, slavery starting in the Middle East and moving its way across the world, and yet if you live in the United States, you think that slavery started here. God's sakes, we got these dumbass politicians who begin reparations. Well, everybody who was a slave has passed away, and it's like, good God, really? Come on, man, wake up. It's just a political thing. It's a political hit on everybody. And now what's happening is these small groups, they found the power in the internet, and that's what they like to do. They like to destroy things. And now I fear that they're gonna go into our hobby. I mean, okay, I read in this article. You pick up the book. It's April 2019, and read it. It's a great article. You got some great figures that go along with it. But he does talk about it. I mean, I didn't know that the BBC people get pissed off at the BBC because they show the movie Zulu, and it's like they talk about colonialism. And it's like, come on, really? You finally gonna work now? Yes, finally. Thank God. I was trying to fix my printer, and it's now printing out. Here we go. It works. Yeehaw. Well, hopefully it'll stop. It's going to print out all my letters now. Good God Almighty, help me. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Hopefully I have the balls to put this on the internet. I did send a letter off. This is it. I just printed it out, just to have it for my posterity. Oh, good Lord have mercy on us, huh? Honestly, I love this hobby. I love collecting comic books. I love war gaming, and I love going to the movies. It's got to stop somewhere, some way. We've got to put a stop to this. Honestly, in the United States, we are so very, very lucky to be Americans and to be born in America. There's a lot of people out there in different countries that don't have the freedoms that we have. And we take these freedoms for granted. And if you don't fight for those freedoms, you will lose those freedoms. And I can't express that strongly enough to the young men and women that I meet along the way. I'm very lucky. Because as a cop, I still have the ability to talk to people. And I do care. I don't want to say I don't give a shit. I do care. I do care very much. I do care about what's happening in England. I do care what's happening in France. And these are great nations, that foster great people. And they are losing their cultures. And it's a shame. And I do feel sorry for them. And I do feel that the United States is probably the last bastion of freedom where we can say and do what we want. And it's a global mechanism that's happening right now to silence the people. And it's only a few. It's a minority silencing people. Good God, I'm on a rant. Well, guys, that's what I did. We'll see what happens, right? I hope I got the balls to put this up on the internet. We'll see. I'll have to review it. But, hey, it is what it is. Alright, guys. God bless. Take care. And I hate to see our hobby go down the tubes. You know, I played Warhammer 40K, and I played with boys and girls, and boys who wanted to be girls, and girls who wanted to be boys, and I never had a problem with it. I looked at them as fellow gamers. I played with gamers who were older than me and gamers who were younger than me, and there's nothing like teaching a young gamer how to play, and there's nothing like learning and listening to stories of old timers reliving history. And I think that's our connection. You know, that's what gets us all together. And we can't let haters take that away from us. So I think we really need to start towing the line and holding the torch high and just fighting for what we believe in and not be afraid. I think that's it. All right, guys. Enough. Be good to each other. Happy wargaming. Happy collecting. And I will see you next Friday. Ciao.